Today I'm working on the 1965 Wagoneer, and today I'm going to be block sanding away with about 1500 and 2000 grit. Then I'm going to go over it, find any high spots and a little bit of lows, fix it out. I'm not going for perfect on this paint job, a little bit better than a farm truck. This is where I'm at so far with the first coat. Go through it, see what I gotta do. Like I said, this is one of those techniques I saw at another restoration shop. Basically, you spray on your first coat of base or single stage, depending on what you're using, and then I'll show you what you need to block out or what you need to do before you're done to the desired finish. Now, at this point, I recommend using a nice 5 to 6 inch block so you can get a nice controlled surface that you're working on. And that way you don't have to worry about marring or scratching anything with the edges of the block. This is a Durablock, which I'm using with a wet/dry capable sandpaper. It's a 1500 grit. Now I will go back to 400 grit, and I know it sounds counterproductive to be going with 1500 grit first, but this way I'm allowed to go around the whole car without worrying about scarring or going too deep on the surface of the new painted material. Plus, it'll allow me to feel out any highs and lows that I want to fill. As I said, I'm not going for extreme perfect car. This is just going to be a little bit better than a farm truck level. So I am going to be removing anything that should be removed defect level wise before the next second and third coat of this single stage. Take your time and make sure you get everything nice and even. You can sometimes take the piece of sandpaper off your block for those small areas or curves, just to make sure you get the dirt off so you can see what you're working with. And you're going to be more extreme with yourself once you get to the 400 grit, so you make sure that all the shine is gone before you spray on the second and third coat. And that way the panels are as flat as possible and as perfect as possible. And that way we can get the maximum amount of gloss out of our paint. Now, this is a numbers matching 1965 Wagoneer overhead cam 6-cylinder with column shift. Now, this is a very, very cool classic car that I'm putting my own little spin on it, custom wise, but still leaving it numbers matching where it is needed. As you can see, I'm slowly going over the areas that are needed. I'm blocking out with a heavier 300 and 200 grit in the areas that I'm adding my flow glaze or filler, depending on what I'm adding, to make sure I get down to the right surface to get maximum adhesion. Now, there are some fillers out there that are designed to go over primer or already painted substrates. I'm using one which is called Flow Glaze by Sherwin-Williams, which can go over your primer and stuff like that. And then I'm using another brand for filler in the areas that I need, where I blocked it down to a primer level or a little bit further to make sure the adhesion was good in those areas. And the rest of the areas, like I said, got the Flow Glaze, which didn't need that much extreme sanding. This was the steps I did before I sprayed on my bed liner and primer in the bottom part of where the rockers are. And I'm going to be blending that in. You can see that in another video where I sprayed the bed liner on those areas in the top half. The top half has a heavier texture when I sprayed it to make sure I can simulate a vinyl style roof on this two-tone Wagoneer. Now, once all the flow glaze or filler dries, I will be going back over in those areas with my orbital sander, and then I'll be block sanding it flat to make sure that there's no issues before I prime. That way, those areas that receive the flow glaze or filler are protected and sealed over before the next two coats of paint. Alright guys, so if you're ever interested in maybe purchasing this vehicle when it's done, remember you can always email me or even leave a comment and I'll get back to you.